I'm Elliot Wonenyika, and welcome to this lecture series on mergers, acquisition, and corporate restructuring. But before you take time to watch this lecture series, you must have gone through your material on valuations, because mergers, acquisition, they leverage on your knowledge on valuations. So when you look at a merger and acquisition type of transaction, I'm sure it's depicted by this picture of a fish sitting on top of a point, where effectively we are saying we're two different entities that will come together to form one joint entity. And more often than not, these unions are not always perfect. And they can then give rise to an unknown animal. Because if I'm to ask you, what is this animal? You may not come up with a specific name for this animal, which can also be the case when it comes to mergers and acquisitions. But for the purposes of our syllabus, we need to go through why, because practically mergers and acquisitions still do happen. If I look at a local context, Econet acquired 100% of TN in a major transaction, which today works Stewart Bank under the Econet group, or now under the Cassava group, after Econet did another restructuring transaction. Then Atlas Mara also acquired 100% of Bank ABC in an acquisition transaction. AB InBev Sub Miller, again, they entered into a major transaction, which means that effectively on the ground, companies do enter into this type of transaction. So now the question is, within the context of our CTA syllabus, what do we need to know around mergers and acquisitions? Which brings us to our learning objectives. You need to be able to understand the structuring of takeovers and some of the arising tax issues, and also indicating the motives for mergers and understanding why mergers fail or succeed. And then also being able to determine the terms of the merger, either using cash or a share exchange. And also being able to compute post-merger price earnings ratios, understanding the effects of a merger on dividends and net asset value per share, as well as explaining the workings of a reverse takeover. Then you should also be able to determine, let's say a company does not want to be taken over, what defensive actions can they take? And then should the company want to buy another one, how do we value the equity of the company that we want to purchase? We'll also discuss leverage buyouts, as well as the process and reasons for unbundlings and spin-offs. And then wrap it up by discussing how due diligence are relevant within the mergers and acquisitions type of transactions. So looking at mergers and acquisitions, I'm sure you can see this pictorial presentation. There are various types of relationships that can occur, either between a gentleman and a lady. I'm sure you can see those grannies still together. And you can see also that lady was quite muscular, which then gives us to say what types of mergers do we expect to find. So the first type can be a horizontal merger, two firms from the same industry combining. So a classical example from a Zimbabwean context is, after the FML Nichols Diamond transaction, you'll find that Nichols Diamond and Trust Insurance then combined to form one entity. And that's a classical example of a horizontal merger. And then you can also have a vertical merger, which is where a company is trying to control its value chain, its customers as well as its supply. So it can go either direction. And the last type is a conglomerate. In this type of merger, two businesses in unrelated business sectors combine to form one entity. And normal conglomerate are used as part of risk diversification. So now the question is, why do companies merge? So the merger reason is around operating economies. To say, as a merged economy, we can have more purchasing power. We can be able to standardize our products. We can make use of our combined production facilities, therefore achieving cost efficiencies. This can result in reduction of retail outlets. For example, if two banks merge, should they maintain the retail footprint that they had as individual banks? Maybe not. So from a economies of scale perspective, they can combine and cut out some of their outlets. Combination of IT and administrative functions, consolidation of research, so it can be a whole host of reasons why companies do then merge. Others can be sitting on excess cash resources. It is part of the investment strategy they can decide to acquire or merge with other businesses. Diversification, conglomerate. lower financing costs. Say as a bigger entity, we can then be able to borrow at a lower cost. Technology, we can acquire or merge with another company to take advantage of the technology that is residing with that other company. Or we are interested in a product that other companies bring onto the table. So I'm sure if you look globally, if you look at Facebook, it has been on an aggressive acquisition campaign, mainly because of products. Instagram, WhatsApp, what are they looking for? The product that those companies are holding, which can be a reason for a merger. Now the question is, how do we structure a merger? So a merger can be either takeover of assets or via transfer of shares. So I've got two structures here that can be made. So we find that after a merger, company A will own shares in company B, or the group can decide to establish a new company, C Limited, which has got shares in both company A and then company B. So it means effectively in this type of transaction, the question is, what is the most efficient way of structuring the takeover transaction? And some of the question is, should I then take over through transfer of share assets? So it means instead of buying the share capital of the company, I buy the assets of that particular company. What does this mean? So effectively, the selling company is going to transfer the relevant assets to the buying company, and it got nothing to do with the company itself. So obviously, when you then look at transfer of assets, there's a share transfer. There are both pros and cons. So for example, there's a transfer of assets. We can then take advantage of tax deductions around wear and tear allowances, etc. And should we decide to then sell those assets in the future, they will bring into play recoupments, which will not be the case if we buy the shares of the company. Also, let's say I'm financing the acquisition through debt, the interest on that debt financing will be tax deductible. But if I finance the acquisition through, say, if I purchase the shares and I finance the acquisition through debt, the interest will not be tax deductible. So those are some of the differences. And also, when you do an asset purchase, you're not worried about contingent liability or scaling in the cupboard. Why? Because you've selected the asset that you want to buy. But when you buy a company, there are a lot of unknowns. Contingent liability not disclosed on the financial statements, or any other issues that you may only then come to be aware of when you then actually get in. Then also, from a share transfer perspective, for you to obtain control, maybe you only need to buy 50% plus one share. But in asset acquisition, you have to buy 100% of the assets. So from a cost perspective, to gain control, a share purchase might require a lower capital outlay. And then also, for a share transfer, offer can be made directly to shareholders, but for assets, you have to liaise with management, who may not be willing to dispose of any assets of the business. And then if you buy shares, it means you are keeping the company intact. So it means there will be no changes required to operating contracts such as leases, employment contracts, JVs, or any other agreements. But if you buy the assets and bring them into your existing operations, all those things may need to be relooked at and may have some legal implications which may not be straightforward. Also, when you compare again transfer of assets to share transfer, if you buy shares, you may be able to utilize any tax losses residing in that company, subject to the rules in the Income Tax Act around utilization of tax losses, which will not be the case in an asset transfer. So looking at the two options, they both have their own advantages and disadvantages. Not to say any is better than the other. What we just need to consider is the circumstances of the acquiring company and the preferences of that entity. Now the question is, are mergers successful? Normally we have looked at the reasons for mergers. I'm sure all of the reasons are looking very attractive, but practically are mergers successful? That's an interesting question to ask. So we find that generally from the research that has been done, success rates are very low. In a study done by McKinsey, they put at 23%. KPMG put the failure rate at 80%, which means this failure rate is more or less at similar thresholds. So the question is, why do measures fail? So one of the main things is overestimation of synergies. So one of the reasons why companies enter into this transaction is they are looking at all these cost saving, economies of scale, all these things. So that's why there's a risk of overestimating these synergies. And other problem with acquisition measures is paying too much. Because putting a value on a business, you're estimating. And more often than not, in the valuation, then you also value these synergic benefits, which then can result in the overestimation of the purchase price. And then also lack of post-merger integration. Do we have an integration plan? We are going to acquire company B or going to make it company B. What's our integration plan so that we operate together or as a single entity? Then other factors include regulatory delays, excessive financial leverage, loss of key customers, key staff, clash of corporate culture. So there's a whole host of reasons why measures do fail. So from an examination perspective, maybe you can be given a question, discuss other factors to consider for this acquisition transaction. These are the other factors. To say, guys, hold on. What are we going to do to key customers? Are our corporate cultures going to jail? So those are the issues that you need to ask, that management need to ask themselves before they finalize on the major acquisition transaction. Then, how can the company then increase the chance of achieving a successful merger? So these are some of the questions. This is one of the questions that we're going to be answering in this lecture series. Okay, so the next step is to go to part 2 of this lecture recording, where we're going to discuss further issues around mergers and acquisition. Thank you very much for taking time to watch this first part. See you in part 2 of this recording.